I want to talk a little bit about soul ties and how we develop soul ties. When people exit your life, let me let me say it like this. If you have a friend or if you're dating someone or you are in relationship with someone, maybe they're a spiritual mom, maybe they're a little sister, maybe they're a big brother, whatever it is, when they can easily exit your life and they can just delete you, remove you based on something that they think that you said or they were told that you said or something that they assumed because they saw a social media post. If they can easily block you and move you out of their life quickly, that means that relationship wasn't worth saving. I was speaking to someone who serves as an apostolic mentor in my life, and I was talking about some things that I had been noticing about people that I have met through other relationships, specifically through social media. And I said, how do people just randomly just like not speak to you anymore or block you because of something that they think that they heard or they think that they believed? And, I've been going through this really weird triangle weave thing of really trying to figure out what relationships are worth saving. And in this season of my life, God has already shown me things about people and about how to deal with people. But I think because my heart sometimes just doesn't really connect with what God's saying because I want the validation, because I still struggle. That's one of the things that I struggle with. I tend to befriend or I tend to get into relationship with business, personal, romantic, whatever it is, because of my own desires. And one thing that I'm not good with is I'm not good at telling people how they have hurt me or how they've said things to me or how I've heard that they said things about me. One of the things that I do is I test the relationships. And sometimes I might say something that isn't true because I really want to see what the truth is. And that might not always be the best way to go. But as I get older, I'm finding that some relationships that I've truly invested in are oftentimes not worth it, and when you get to a point where you can be friends with someone and you can be in covenant with someone and they don't value you enough to even try to work through some things or try to talk through some things, it's time to let them go. So I wanted to just say this, that sometimes people want to be in your life because of who you are, the status you carry. Maybe you have better skills or maybe you make them look better. But I've learned in this season that some relationships really were not good for me, but I tried to force them. I bonded with people out of trauma. I bonded with people out of emotional situations that I was going through because I really felt like we had something in common or we could be good friends. But at the end of the day, that relationship didn't work out. I was even paying attention to some people that I've even had on my conference platform. And I'm like, people just be moving in and out. And so sometimes you really have to understand that relationships are seasonal. And I've always been one to say that, people are in your life for a reason or a season. We can really preach that all the time, but it's not until you really start to see like, this is really real. Like, LaShawn, that person was seasonal. You carried that season on far too long. Even if the situation turns out to where they might think you did them wrong, or you might have said something, or they go and tell everybody what they did and what they said you think they did, it doesn't matter. And I know for me, most of you in my community know that I'm very transparent. I don't have a problem with saying I said something. I don't have a problem with saying, yeah, I said it. It may not have been true. I don't have a problem with telling you how I feel. But what I have a problem with is being in covenant, being in relationships with people who talk about me and then they call me and act like they love me. And then I find out something, so I'm learning in this season that when God says, let go, you have to let go. And when you don't let go or you don't move out the way, God is going to allow things to happen to show you that you really need to just let go. It's time to move on. So I want to encourage you, this last couple of years for me have been kind of just really different. And most of these relationships were built by way of social media, but I didn't have these typical issues in my real life, people who knew me growing up and people who live next door or people that I see all the time. And so sometimes we have to be careful who we allow to validate who we are, because I know what God has shown me and I know where God has taken me and I know where my heart is. So at the end of the day, I just have to be careful with how I internalize those things. And so I want to encourage you all, just be who you are. And if you know that God has shown you to let go of someone, or if it's really time to be done with the situation or to walk away, you've got to let that happen. Because I'm going to tell you this, one thing about me, I say this with pride, is that I am someone that God has allowed me to see people have to deal with the things that they've done or said to me, or how they've treated me, because God knows how I value so many relationships and how I put people in the caliber that I do. And so even though I hurt initially, God allows me to see what happens long term when they mistreat me. And so you have to know, it doesn't always sound good the way we explain it, but God does not let his daughters be mistreated. He doesn't let the people who are faithful to him, the people who have prayer lives, who fast, who pray, who read books all the time. God doesn't allow people to just walk into your life, get what they need, use you, talk about you, cut you off, and just treat you like you're nobody. So be encouraged by this message. Be encouraged, because my transparency and what I deal with is blessing someone. And so I want to be able to say, hey, I've been through it. I understand. I can relate to what it is that you're dealing with. So God's blessings, and thank you for chiming in with Dr. LaShawn, the Global Strategist.